Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I'm trying to get that. Yeah, I think there's a better view. How you all doing today? This is a wonderful day. This is a wonderful day. It's a nice day. I see my House of Shea T-shirt or that the Essence Festival, and that's why I came away with. I don't do too many of the takeaways. But yeah, this past week there's been a lot of stuff in the news. Um, Another killing. Stuff is like people got guns and just want to use it. You know, they're not considering the implications. They're not considering their lives. They just feel they can use it. That's just touching. But today is a beautiful day out here for me, um, and I have a very good weekend ahead of me. Like a last year kind of good weekend, right? So this my daughter is going to a senior year at Brown, so we'll be taking her to school, and 4 years be up by next year May, and I'm excited. I'm excited that she went through this. She'll be getting her mechanical engineering degree. What she can do with it and where she can go, I don't know, but it's just wonderful to see these young people that you bring up, that you produce, that you train, try to do the right thing and get to the right places. Yeah, they will make mistakes along the way. There are a whole bunch of more mistakes ahead of her for sure. But you know, we appreciate where she's at, and I'm excited to take that drive to take all her stuff back to Providence, and then you know, say farewell because she'll be there all year by herself. So what's some of the other stuff in the news today? My man Mola Kessley, the young phenom, he's not around. He may call in, I'm not sure, but he has some mobilization to do. Um, there's a lot of mobilization going for the ANC, which is very positive. A lot of people are feeling what we are doing. As you all know, the court case is in the rearview mirror. Um, a lot of Liberians are responding to the consistent messaging of Mr. Cummings. So they're starting to understand when he talks about unity, when he talks about future, when he talks about his pillars that he wants to focus on: education, healthcare, infrastructure, agriculture, good governance, um, making government inclusive, involving the young people, involving the women. Those are things that are starting to resonate with people. They're starting to understand it, and we'll continue to pound the message so that people can start to relate. People can find where their spaces are in all this messaging, where they fit, how they can work, with an ANC government in so many different capacities. Because really, the economic space for Liberia is huge. There's so much opportunities. But unfortunately, we have governments over the period of time, not just this government, that kind of cluster the economic space, that worry that if people are successful, it empowers them politically. No, we gotta be focused on how can we make Liberians own our economy? How can we make Liberians become millionaires? Those are the kind of things that's supposed to keep our leaders awake at night. How do they move the market woman to being a wholesaler, to being an importer? How can they move the clerk typist into maybe an accountant, maybe next level, a manager? So it's about how do we move our labor force? How do we incorporate and create jobs for these young people that are graduating from school? Somebody told me something the other day, I don't believe it, that since those who came in 2018 to the University of Liberia, They may not graduate this year or next year. I gotta find that out because it will be a sad testament to this government that these young people come in under the terms of this government. And there have been so many stoppages at the University of Liberia that it affects their opportunity to be on par with their colleagues and to be competitive. So I hope that information is not correct. But I know there has been stoppages at school. I believe that LU is just reopening after 6 months. Whether they have actually opened or not, I'm not sure. But all of these things are happening, and there's no serious check and balance. It's like nobody in the system is a consciousness of the Liberian people. It's like everybody in the system is just about themselves. And that's why the system is shaking. That's why the system has problems. That's why we cannot actually see the development needle moving. Yes, that's the cosmetic stuff, but that's the stuff that they can scheme on, that they can get money from these road contracts and these housing contracts, because that's the one they just procure it to whoever they want to, probably their own shadow companies or whatever they got investment in or associated with, and they get a contract and they go through. So those corrupt development projects that sometimes don't last, that sometimes, deteriorate fast, they don't inspect it to ensure that it's up to standard, up to code, or as the requirements in the project, description or the project proposal state. There's no confirmation of many of those things. So we have had all these different, projects coming through that are not value for money. And that's one of the essential things that we have to be considering and thinking about, as we move forward. We're not an extremely rich country in terms of current resources, in terms of natural resources yet, but in terms of liquidity, in terms of our, reserves, in terms of our economy and the churn that exists in terms of how things turn around and turn over, that's not happening. So it's a very tough situation for us as a people, and that's why I've been falling in love with this video that, what's his name, Angel Michael. I don't know if you know Angel Michael, but he's really really funny. He he made a video recently. I won't describe it, but it's really funny, right? So it talks about how Liberia, to a large extent, is the stress or difficulty of Liberia, um, where the challenge is so huge um, that just living in Liberia, according to him, is like work, um, and that's sad because then people don't get to just be normal, to just live a good life. It becomes extremely difficult, and when life is that tough, that difficult, that people can't just make it out, and there's no effort, no real effort for people to be successful, it makes it very, very difficult. So we can only hope that the young people, all the challenges they are facing, all the different issues that confront them, that they will be able to be successful, because we only want success for them. And they are the main reason why we are where we are, because they are the decision makers. So I don't know if you can. I'm about to play this for you because this is hilarious. You have to see it. So I will share my screen right here for you to see this. And art imitates life to a large extent, and sometimes life imitates art. But this particular representation is about where we are. So let's see. Let me share this and play it for you.
My man, please come. The way you brush it, where you work, please come. I'm not asking where you live, I'm asking where you work. My man, how you getting me? Listen to me. Living in Liberia that work by itself. You don't need extra job. Talking. Now when you watching that there? No, when you living in Liberia, you have to say you brush.
So that's what he's saying. Living in Liberia is work by itself. You don't need extra job just to live in Liberia that work. And that's a fact. It's a pressure cooker that our young people are in Liberia. Then, you see people always in a hurry because that's what the system is. The system puts you into a hurry situation. And that has to change. The Liberian people have to recognize how challenging life is for them right now. Yeah, maybe, people argue. Some people don't know better. They haven't been exposed and all of that. Yeah, that's probably true. But at the end of the day, I believe people, from a fundamental standpoint, know how much energy they are putting into eking out a living. I mean, just barely getting by. They know how much stuff they got to do just to get dry rest before I say I soup to the rest. So if they can't appreciate that challenge and understand that it's not supposed to be that way, there's a strong possibility for a better individual success and for collective success. And that's why we have to teach our people. We can assume that they just know. I know a lot of people are frustrated with Liberian people. They're supposed to know better. They're supposed to know better. But sometimes people just don't know better. And it's cultural in terms of, or lifelong for some of them. They haven't seen anything but hardship. So that's all they know. So it's a little natural for them to believe that you're not supposed to eat 3 healthy meals a day, to believe that you're not even supposed to wear shoe, half slipper. That's it. You're not even supposed to take out with clean water. Well water or river water, dirty water. You're not supposed to drink bad water is a luxury. So we got to tell our people that's not the standard. But most don't know better. 60% of our population is 35 or under? That's a young population. And what's that? Since 89, that's 33 years. So more than 50% of the population has been born after the war. So when you put in the fact that many of those who were there suffer something, some post-traumatic stress disorder is evident. That's why many of our people are just militaristic. The country is militarized, and we have not rehabilitated our people. Most people, and some people who were not in the war, they may not know. Even me, I may not know. I may be suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. There's some reactionary things that people do that those things trigger in them because they have been affected by the impact of the war. And they have not been able to let it out. They have not been able to speak to professionals. They have not been able to get any kind of mental health support or assistance. So people on their own. And that affects you. It limits your outlook. It limits your capability to expand to your fullest potential. So our people are not in an easy thing. And then we're not getting help. We're not getting help from government. Social services are limited. All of those things affect our people. So let's see what's in the news. The House passed a recast budget. I mean, I've been expecting it. but I didn't know it would be in this form. So from the 783, I believe they have gone to $806 million budget. So what that change is, I don't know. I've been asking, and I can't get any serious information about why the budget is being recast. You know, I was talking to somebody on the ground, and they said basically on Wednesday, the CDC lawmakers met and decided to approve the recast budget. I don't know that it was submitted to the entire House, but it was a committee decision. You know, there was no real information around the awareness created that the budget was being recast. And the men decided to, push it forward. So they did. So when you're operating without transparency and accountability, that's what happens. And I guess with the strength of the executive and the support of brown paper operations, the CDC legislators, they are just running roughshod over the rest of the legislators. They just do whatever they want to do. It would be great if they were passing laws in the benefit of the country and running, with that kind of dictatorial tendency of lawmaking. Unfortunately, not. So there's no transparency in what that 23 or 26 million addition would do. There's no clarity on where that money is coming from. We already have $145 million that will be in loan in that budget. So if they don't get that loan, that's a budget shortfall. That's been expected. But it's now recast and added 20 plus million. So where is that money coming from? The purpose of that money, supposedly, it was because they were reprioritizing, and you can always find excuses for these things. That's a sad part about government. They can always find an excuse and say, because of XYZ, so we are doing ABC. And at the end of the day, it's not in the best interest of the people. They can't clearly articulate why they are increasing the budget as they are. And that's not fair to the Liberian people. That is not fair at all. So it's something that we'll have to look at next week. Hopefully we'll be able to find, or somebody will share the actual budget, the new recast budget, for us to put it side by side with the previous budget, see what has been reprioritized, and why we need an additional $20 million in this reprioritization. So that's something. As you know, the ERU officer who's I believe assigned to Bill Twelve, he shot somebody, and they now have him. The court have put him in jail. Hopefully, that family will be taken care of. Supposedly, the person was a Zogo, but Zogo, street person, criminal. Nobody got a right to just kill somebody else. That's what we got to understand. Because you have a gun, it doesn't mean you have to use it. There's no justification for what he did. Hopefully, we'll be able to get some kind of story that explains that officer's actions. But to date, since this story broke, I have not seen anything that really indicates any kind of justification around killing another person. And the way the story went, like he just got out of his car, went to the folks, and did what he had to do, which was not something that he had to do. It's crazy, So again, it's up to the police to really investigate this, because what happened the other day? There's a senior police officer who was accused of rape. Supposedly there has been no investigation into that case. So if these cases would just pile up and they would not investigate them, they will not try to get justice for those people who need justice. It's a recipe for trouble. It's a recipe for trouble at some point. Because at some point people get tired, people get frustrated. Nobody handling any business for them, nobody looking at their grievances, nobody helping them. At some point, the bubble will burst. We just hope that this government can wake up. That's all we want. Wake up, make a difference for your people. If you're making a difference for your people, most likely everything will be fine because you'll be a conscientious government. Government that cares to ensure the health of its people, the safety of its people, that the students are learning, education is on track. All of those things are essential. That Liberians who are entrepreneurs have business opportunities, that there's some level of small business assistance. A lot of people, or most people, just cannot work for government. What is it? 80,000 jobs they expanded to from 55, 60,000. It's not enough. With 5+ million, probably 2.5 million capable of working easily. And we're not putting them to work. We're not finding opportunities for them to work. So that's a challenge. That's a big challenge. This is supposed to be good news here, I guess. Public Works is supposed to recruit Liberian engineers. 90-day plan the minister laid out. Well, we hope they do it because there's a lot of young people graduating who don't have the opportunity to practice what they learn. And there's something, sometimes you lose it. You don't implement exercise, or test where you learn. At some point you lose it. It's not there permanently. You tend to focus on other things, you start doing other things, and then you lose that train of thought because learning is a process and it should be a continuous process. And many times that does not happen. So our people are set back. I hear good news. The government rolls out a 13-day national emergency vaccination campaign. That's good. It's really needed. I will hope that everybody in Liberia could be vaccinated, but that's not the reality. And even some of the people themselves don't believe in, some of the healthcare principles that have been applied to support the vaccination. And many of them don't understand. So it could be the thing is a white man thing, but it was real. It was in Liberia and some people died. So that vaccination is necessary. Then with the smallpox and other things creeping around, we really need to protect our people. So, I'm just hopeful that the scandal at the Ministry of Health the other day with all that stealing will not be. Oh my God. Dorit. Also, let me go back now. We got some information here from Toripur. The young man that was murdered by Bill Security was not a Zogo. He's my in-law. So, but even if he was Zogo, and he's not, but even if he was, that gives nobody the right to extinguish his life. Don't come use that Zogo thing or the man trying to steal or something as an excuse. No, that is not right. The man can be the worst Zogo. You have no right to shoot and kill him. So hopefully, Dorik, you'll have my sympathy to the family. I really hope there will be some kind of accountability in this particular case. Supposedly, the shooter or killer is in jail, and hopefully that's where he remains. That the judge's decision will be in the best interest of the people. Kota, welcome. Rosalind Dix, thank you for coming on. Welcome too. So, other things in the news. July 26th is coming up in 18 days, and they have named our July 26th orator. She's the Minister of Commerce, Ms. Mawani Dix. I wish our oration would be something that can shift the pendulum and trying to change the paradigm of leadership in this government. I have no idea what she's going to talk about. I'm just being hopeful that she can press the reset button. You know, I know we're saying this government has failed. This government, in my mind, is useless. Yeah, I believe that. But at least if the Liberian people are serious and will really move this government for the next year and a half, you want the government to be a little bit successful. You want the government to do some of the right things that can maybe start to put things back on track, maybe turn around the situation, the economy, all of those things. But just the likelihood is it's far-fetched. You don't even see a low percentage of turnaround, where there are advocates in the government who are pushing for reform. You don't see that. Unfortunately, the president is complacent. He doesn't want to be bothered with what's going on. He got his lieutenants that he believes in, that he thinks they're doing what's necessary. But many of us know that this is failure. It's just not right. It's not at the place. But this is a country that we love, though. So we have to keep at it. A lot of people want to get disappointed, but you can't be disappointed. You can't be frustrated. You got to try to generate that energy, that verve, that vibe, that you have to be one of the change agents for Liberia and keep pushing, regardless of the challenges you're facing now, the situation. You got to want things to get better for Liberia, and that only helps. Yeah, this young lady is right. Education is lacking. Awareness is the key to disease prevention and health maintenance. And that's part of preventive health care, that's what Mr. Cummings keeps talking about. Primary care and preventive care. We have to implement those two to reduce and prevent a lot of diseases. The awareness is a big piece of preventive care, getting people aware of what the situation is. And sanitation, if we improve our access to potable water, running water from the pipe, we'll cut down nearly 40% of diseases easily, just automatically. That can happen. And hopefully we can do that in a decentralized way. There's so many opportunities to decentralize energy, water, food production. But it takes a committed government to be able to do that. Because you have to disabuse yourself of the notion of trying to take the people's money. It's not your money. A lot of people in government feel they got whatever little kingdom they have in terms of their mandate, whether it's for a bureau, whether it's for a directory of a significant part of a ministry, whether it's for the whole entire ministry or the agency. It's not your kingdom. It's the people's work. It's the people's benefit. They give you that opportunity to serve. Whether you are appointed by whoever, you owe your loyalty, you owe your commitment to the people of Liberia, and you're supposed to work for them. But a lot of times that doesn't happen. We need people who are conscientious of the need for change. President, they're up to you. It's in your, what you can call it, your bailiwick. So you need to try to see how you can resurrect the direction your government is going in. Oh my God, I'm just seeing this. Former NEC chairman smells war. He wants international community to intervene. I know I've been receiving overtures from people who have been talking about, putting us into receivership. I've always fought that, from the very beginning. When we formed an organization called Liberians United for Progress and Development, a lot at that time. It was during Charles Taylor time, and a lot of people wanted us to go into receivership. Become a protectorate. I personally was opposed to it, but some people took it serious. Some people thought that was the best solution for Liberia, and some people still feel that way today. That we should actually be going to receivership. But as some of you know, James Fromaya was the former chairman um, of the National Elections Commission. Today, he's the chairman of the Center for Development and Election Management. I believe that's probably an NGO. And they say he issued a warning that if immediate care is not taken, Liberia is firmly on its way to chaos as a result of poor management of the presidential and legislative elections that will take place in 2023. Mr. Fromaya, I really hope not. I really hope this government can get its act together. That's why I don't know if people were able to listen to the show on Wednesday with George Famble and myself, where we dissected this whole issue about the elections, past election. It boiled down to something simple. The fact is, the expertise at the National Election Commission is limited in terms of the technology that they're using for these elections. Yes, they can enter the data and they can display the data. To print the data has been a problem. And it points to the fact that maybe they changed providers, service providers, because this data was printing well before. What happened for these elections? That they didn't do well, that they didn't print well. So obviously, something changed. NEC didn't change. I doubt if the database changed, but the service provider who's probably doing the printing, doing some of the database cleanup or changes that, comes with it. NEC has to get it right. I mean, my friend George is calling for the NEC commissioner to be fired. I thought she would have been fired before, to be honest. With that conflict of interest, the $180,000 and all of that, she should have been fired. But, people don't step up and take responsibility. And unfortunately, President Weah is weak. He's very weak, extremely weak in terms of leading, in terms of managing. Because there's so many people in his government who have been fired already. But he doesn't have the heart to do that. He can play dead away. Yeah, the beginning got dead away, but the way he's going to play dead away, he's not playing it. He's not in the right situation. Right? So this election thing, I think, is clear in my mind. I don't think there was fraud. But if there was fraud, it happened either from the ballot boxes when they were brought or during the voting or after the voting at polling stations or polling places where the United Party didn't have a presence. And I know you all heard the story about the United Party not paying the poll workers and someone not going and all of that. If you can't protect your vote, you see, you do all the mobilization work, right? You encourage people to register to vote. Then you try your best to get the vote out. But that last part, protect your vote, the PYV. If you can't do the PIF, you can't protect your vote. You can't win elections. So there are just some things I have been talking about for the opposition community to kind of get together, right? It's clear that people want to run. There's nothing wrong. You see, there's nothing wrong with people having ambition. But what is the overriding tenor in the country today? The overriding thing is George Weah should be a one-term president. George Weah is destroying our economy. He's destroying our country. There's no signal on the horizon that things will reverse and be positive and move us forward. I don't see it. If somebody sees it and can convince us, then fine, you know. But for those who believe that that is not the case, they need to work collectively. There's nothing wrong with internal competition. Only one person can be president. So 50 people, 60 people won't compete. Only one will be president. At the end of the day, there will be the incumbent probably in the second round, except the people are really, 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 really disgusted. Then it will be two opposition in the second round. But right now, it will be the incumbent and one of the opposition. And that's where I say collaboration has to take place. People want to compete, fine. You compete in the first round. In the second round, it's clear. We support whoever is from the opposition. But prior to that, like I was just talking about, the opposition need to come together. Mr. Cummings, I don't know if you listened to his speech that I will put out on Monday. He was clear. He opened the doors for reconciliation. As much as he was persecuted and he feel like, people did him wrong, he's open. It's about taking your ego out of the process and being able to deal with the issue in a more rational and objective way than a personal way. And that's where he has come to. He believes Liberia is bigger. The fact that he was hurt, he was insulted, he was abused, he can't hold it against people. He got to have an open mind, and that's why he has demonstrated. That's leadership. Don't mind me talking. It's not an easy thing to do, but seriously, for me, I don't hold grudge. It's too much excess baggage to me. I can't carry stuff like that. So hopefully, Mr. Cummings, call to the rest of the opposition will resonate with it. They will believe that he's being sincere. Let's have a discussion. Now, what is the discussion about? The discussion should be about how do we as an opposition ensure free and fair, transparent elections? And what do we need to do to ensure that? Firstly, we need to ensure that we get a copy of the NEC data system. It doesn't have to be the full database. They don't want to give it to us for us to really vet it and check on the uniqueness of each record in there. That just actually 2.476 million records. If they don't want to do that, fine. But let them give us the structural aspect of the database so we can know the logic that in it, how things are flowing, how it's working, how it's reporting. That's one. That's something they should all get on. Two, if they really are going to do this biometric, they got to be joined at the hip with NEC. They got to have political party representation along the entire process. Because if you're not represented, you don't understand what's going on, you're in a hole already before you get there. Then the commitment to get people to register. And it should be about responsible citizenship. Don't go tell people go register to go vote for Cummings or go register to go vote for Boycott. No. Register to vote because it's your democratic franchise. It's part of your responsible citizenship. You are old, 18 or older. Okay? Part of being a citizen is being a part of the process to elect your leadership, to decide who you want. And that process of awareness for people to register to vote should start shortly because it'll probably be in January. So you need 3-4 months to really mobilize, to get the people to understand what their responsibilities are, what democracy is, what their rights are, what is the social contract that exists between government and the people. What is the obligation of government? Is it just to come to your county, approve a concession, ratify a concession for somebody to exploit and leave and nothing for you? No, that's not what it is. Is it just about the county getting 200, 300, 400, 500,000 for the development and coming to a council meeting and the big people in the county come and decide what it is and then they divide our money, or they just spend it recklessly. No, people got to understand that they have rights, they have an obligation to behave, to allow the government to collect the taxes and to do whatever else. But then also they need to understand that the government has an obligation to them. If the government cannot meet those obligations, then they as citizens have the right to protest, to demonstrate, to raise issue with government not performing its own responsibility towards them. So those are all part of the democratic process that our people have to be educated on, and they are not really educated on those things. So it's important that the political parties again try to work together to push that kind of agenda, right? To get people to register, to get them to understand the rights, to get them to understand civics, to get them to understand responsible citizenship, what that means, to let them know that we need to move away from tribalism, from ethnicity, from cronyism, that when you're assessing people, assess those people who want to run on their ability to produce for the people. Not because they're fine, not because you like them, not because they can just, talk and make noise and argue palaver fashion. No. Are they capable of making a difference? Are they capable of representing? Are they capable of passing laws in your best interest? What is their agenda? What do they see are the mistakes, the flaws, the disadvantages to you as the constituent that they are going to try to change? What are they offering? We have to explain to people, let them understand those things. Then what about the representation? What about the oversight? Do they come to you? Do they report to you? Do they tell you, oh, the people will recast the budget again? The thing they put inside this time at XYZ. For me, I'll just tell you, but I agree with you. That other $5 million, what they say for entertainment, or that other $3 million for humanitarian thing. Joey not humanitarian, he president. We got different agencies that can handle those humanitarian. So until we can break down what a budget even means, what it portends, the law and weight it carries for our people, we'll be wasting time. So that's what those are some of the things that the opposition can collaborate on. Nobody said John Peter will not run, Mary Flomo will not run, Mary and Johnson will not run, Paul Jackson will not run. Our cousin Paul Jackson you're wrong. Or Benjamin Fontaine, for that matter, will not run. No, they can run. That's democracy. At some point, our democracy will mature to the point where we'll probably have maximum 3 strong parties, maybe 2. And we'll not have all these briefcase parties here trying to exercise. But now they are there. They are part of the political landscape. And they have to be recognized in one fashion or another. Whether they bring the value they think they have or not, you got to deal with them. They're part of the process. So that's part of this political engagement. What is the overriding? What is the North Star? I mean, what is that visionary thing that we are driving towards? For most people, it's a better Liberia. But right now, there's a handicap. It's called this CDC government. It's called Jovia. They are handicapping our opportunity to move forward as a country. They actually do have the capability to reverse that. But is it in the DNA, as we have seen over the last 5 years? I personally don't think so. So that limits the choice. And I believe the opposition should be steadfast on that, regardless of whatever has happened, that these elections should lead to an opposition leadership. And if they are committed to that, they are willing to work with respect around that and focus on the issues that are affecting our people, on critiquing this government, making the right policy recommendations, and even sometimes to the extent where they can even implement micro models of how they visualize Liberia going, the difference that they can make when they assume leadership. If they can do some of those things, it makes a big difference in the eyes of the people. Nobody say any individual, any political party can represent government. No, they don't have the money. They're not collecting our taxes. They don't have the mandate or the authority to do certain things. So no, we're not saying that, and it's just not possible. It's just not real. But yes, some people from government will say, oh, the political party ain't doing nothing, no tangibles. You think a political party will build road? A political party will electrify places or provide water? No. It's government responsibility to provide these social services for our people. But the government has failed so drastically that people are now looking at the opposition to do some of those things. And it's not realistic. And we shouldn't fool the people. So what else is in the news? Well, I see the Fishing Authority, NAFA, is building capacity of fishery technicians, which is overdue. That's another area that we can actually make serious money. We have the potential to utilize our fisheries to get more Liberians jobs in that sector, to add value to anything coming out of our ocean. Nothing coming out of our ocean should be out there on the sea and going to China or anywhere else with these trawlers. We can't let the people drain our ocean like this. While we believe in Pan-Africanism, the rights of other Africans to do business with us, to be one with us, we shouldn't allow the level of exploitation that's happening in our country by other Africans, whether it's fishery, whether it's diamond, whether it's gold, whether it's in other business sectors. No. Liberia must be for Liberians first. And then the foreigners can come in. The Liberian acquisition policy needs to be reawakened. It really, really needs to be reawakened. And it wouldn't be done by us. I mean, I've been talking for a while about, a diaspora Liberia investment fund or development fund. Hopefully more people are listening. Somebody else brought it up today in the chat room I'm in. And hopefully they'll be ready. 5,000 people at $200, that's $1 million. That can be your start. Any variation you want. You can 2,000 people at $500, 200 people, $5,000, 1,000 people, $1,000. So there's so many variations that we can get to that startup money, that $1 million to start a Liberia diaspora development program, project, enterprise, business, whatever. It's possible. It really is possible. So what is in the news here? They say the Senate is asking the GSE to verify Liberia's domestic debt. So I think we're approaching $2 billion in debt now. I will look at it for next week. We'll look at Liberia's debt. But the domestic debt now is about $708 million. And that's key. That's important for them to look at it, because we just see all kind of funny payments. Are those legitimate debts? How did they get on the books? How did they? Those are important things that need to be looked at. And you guys know we have our brothers and sisters who do make pilgrimages now and then. I'm seeing here that some of them they arrived in Mecca. So let's see what the story is, because that's important. Maybe we'll know some of them. I'm trying to look at the picture to see if I know anybody there. So this is some of the Liberian pilgrims posed for a photo upon arrival in Mecca. The Liberian delegation to the annual pilgrimage in Mecca, Saudi Arabia, has arrived safely according to the dispatch from the Embassy of Liberia in Riyadh. A special flight conveying 127 pilgrims from Liberia led us safely. That's wonderful. That's very wonderful that people are pursuing the faith, and the symbolic thing about the faith that they almost do Again, they will do it. So I know Moisey have made an earlier comment. Let me see what that is. He says, sir, that will be an insult to our ancestors. They struggled to form the nation. We cannot lose our independence and come under any receivership. We need good governance and leadership. Why was 1980 conducted if this was the case? Moisey, I can't explain why 1980 happened. The very same people who did the 1980 coup, they reversed and did exactly or worse than what other people were doing before. And since then, it has been downhill. So as much as I personally don't embrace the whole receivership thing, a lot of people do. A lot of people believe we need somebody else to come and run us before we can run ourselves. I mean, I don't necessarily agree, but you can't dispute that we have not been able to manage and run our own country successfully, which is an embarrassment, and we need to really think through what do we want to do. We need to be able to really, whatever our development model is, we need to agree as a people, this is our development model. These are the things we do. Step one, we get a national identification that will identify every Liberian and every property, right? Step two, we improve our technology infrastructure, right? We get our whatever fiber optics or whatever that's out there, we commit those dollars to it. We build roads in a strategic way that will open up economic corridors, some vertical roads, some horizontal roads across the country. Or we tactically focus on those areas that can get flooded, the road, according to my point, Rosa is the road cut. Where the roads get cut, will be strategic that will repair those that traffic will consistently always flow. And we have some level of maintenance in the counties to support those things. When we have consistent transportation, where people are not taking one day, I'm about to go drive to Rhode Island. If I look at my phone here and I put in the address that I'm going to in Rhode Island, it's probably the length of travel of Liberia. Maybe it's highly possible. So let me just see for real how many miles, because our coastline is about less than 500 miles. So let me see what this direction is. Let me see what this direction is. How? Oh man. Okay, let me see how many miles from here to Providence, Rhode Island. 353 miles. That's close. If we have 560 kilometers, it's about 360-mile coastline, or maybe a little bit more. But that means I'm about to drive from Cape Mount all the way to the end of Maryland, past Harper. That's what I'm about to do in the next few hours. And I will do it so I usually go way above the speed limit, but let's say if I do it 60 miles per hour, that's 6 hours ride. 6 hours. So it's just incredible how backwards we are. Let's see who can drive from Cape Mount in Liberia to Maryland in 6 hours. It's not possible. But if we strategically fix our roads, we don't have to pave everything. And just there's certain roads through certain areas that we got to ensure are functional consistently 24 hours. And we'll be fine. So when we get those fundamentals, then we start to attract foreign investment. And that's where Mr. Cummings definitely has the opportunity to make the drastic move forward for this country in terms of job creation. We need our foreign direct investment. We need to plug the leakages in corruption opportunities, because that's what happened. There's just so much opportunity for people to steal. And we got to cut that. And that means we got to bring technology into our revenue system. We got to improve our financial system. This thing about this daily paper money that we just focus on, no. We need to use technology. That's why we need everybody registered. Everybody needs to have a national identification. And then everybody can be registered into a financial system, into a healthcare system. All of these things matter. And that's the only way we can really collect data to really understand our people, how to provide services for them, exactly where they are located when they move, what they need to do. All of those things. It's just sad that people do know those things are necessary and they are what we are supposed to do. But for some reason, we just don't do it. All right, so this other person, 1 second. Hey, Nyla. Thank you. She says, Gwen Jones Smith, we Liberians, always hoping for or hoping not. The fact is, George, we are his cronies, was and is inept and will remain inept. So the worst is yet to come. That's some tough talk from her, but everybody says it. Everybody says something similar. That if this government is elected, the second term will be worse than the first term. So I don't know what's in store for Liberians. They either wake up and decide what they want to do. Because at the end of the day, you can't force people to vote. You can only give them the options and tell them what you think, should be happening, what is the right way. But you can't just go tell somebody, no, go vote for John. No. Let them be able to make that decision. And that's the beauty of democracy. They want vote, they can use it the way they want to use it. So she asked, when you read on your government agencies overdrafting bank accounts and money being deposited to the deposit account overseas, so the debts are on the rise. Well, again, we have the GSC. Hopefully, they will look at some of these things effectively. And that's the advantage of paper trail. The next government that comes in should not be like this CDC government. This CDC government crossed a deal with the devil. They never did the necessary baseline audits. They never looked at what they were receiving as a government. That's why they were arguing at least 6-10 months into their leadership about how much was left in reserve. There was never a clear line of demarcation of, look, you all ended here. This was where the reserves were. This was where all these different account balances were. This was this, that was that. Nothing like that was done. So anybody can claim anything. And you really cannot run a country like that. So it's been very difficult for this government to get on its feet. And it will continue to be. Let me see what else. Oh, yeah. Musa Bility, the chairman and political leader and acting political leader, I believe, of the Liberty Party, rejected the overture by Yomli Kanga for them to go and do another signing ceremony. I think based on the decision by Justice Wolokoli and Justice Yo, they have asked the political parties or the Liberty Party, not political parties, to revert to whatever decision they have made in December at Farmington, whatever amendments that were made there, to revert to those amendments. But unfortunately, I believe Musa is telling Yombi, I think we're already there. We already did that. So what more you want? So the story goes, the national chairman of the Liberty Party, Musa Hassan Bility, has said that there is no reason whatsoever for another round of ceremony for the signing of the LP 2021 Constitution, since it was properly being done at the December 2021 Special National Convention, and has therefore rejected the decision by the political leader, Senator Yombi Kanga Lawrence, I'm not sure even if she's the political leader because she's suspended to hold a fresh program. Chairman Bilder's stand was contained in his response to the letter written to him by Senator Lawrence inviting him and other members of the executive committee and others to a program she has scheduled to take place on Monday, July 11, 2022, to a signing ceremony of the new corrected LP 2021 Constitution, which she claimed is in compliance with the opinions of Justice James Ethel Howard Wilkerley and CNN Yo, instructing the party to correct and submit the 2021 LP Constitution to the National Elections Commission. Mr. Bilder says, I have received your communication to me dated June 6, 2022, in which you invited the National Executive Committee members and myself to a signing ceremony of the now corrected LP 2021 Constitution to be held on July 11, 2022, in reference to the opinion of the justices, instructing us to correct submittance. So he basically saying, no, there's no need for that ceremony. Try hard with me. So Bilder is not doing it. He's not going to honor it, and we'll see when Monday comes whether he honors it or not. What else in the news? I'm saving the best for last. Okay, so the Small Arms Commission have been given a new act from the Senate. That's just a highlight. We can look at it a little bit more closely. I think it's important because some people are concerned for the safety. They will want to bear arms in Liberia. But unfortunately, right now, well, I shouldn't say it because I don't know. I know a lot of people do have arms on the ground right now. I know that for a fact that people do have arms who are not supposed to have arms. So I believe it's Grisbeck who is over there at the Small Arms. Let's see what the legislature are giving him. They say the war is on edge in recent years due to the wanton misuse and abuse of firearms and ammunition by madmen. Untold lives are lost daily as a result of the arms onslaught visited on peaceful people, both in wartime and peacetime, creating more misery. I don't know where all that one necessary. Liberia has moved a step forward in achieving better guns and ammunition control with a historic amendment of the current act creating national arms. So they have created more control, which will be a good thing. We'll delve into it a little bit more because we don't have that portion of it. But it will be important for them to control it. But even the arms they need to control is the one that they're giving to the ERU and these police officers, because it seems like they can just use it without even thinking, So at the IDA Summit, the International Development Association, I believe that's what the acronym IDA for. President Weah spoke there, and he called for the end of the Russia-Ukraine crisis. And obviously, that has been a negative for the world. It has caused a lot of setbacks. Supply chains have been really disrupted. And a lot of people, have just not been able to live a normal life since then. You look at all the deaths in the Ukraine. You look at all the refugees that left the Ukraine along with other foreign nationals, especially Black people that were in the Ukraine and have been really discriminated against in an attempt to leave the Ukraine and travel to other places. So it has not been easy. It has not been easy at all. It's been very, very difficult for our people. One important news this week, Mr. Cummings was at Le Como, Italy. There's a group called the Brenhurst Foundation. They provide a space for world leaders to come and discuss policy issues, especially as it relates to developing countries. So they recently had um, a conference of world leaders, and Mr. Cummings was invited to attend. There were a significant number of other important world leaders who participated in that. The former president of Nigeria, Obasanjo. They had the former um, Israeli prime minister, I believe. I'm trying to think of his name here. Ehud Barak. And he actually was the one who led the panel on the Middle East, discussing the Middle East, because this was a conference about making peace. They had the former prime minister for Ethiopia, Haile Mariam Desalegn, the former vice president of Colombia, Francisco Santos, our former president, Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, she was on Zoom, and had a whole bunch of other leaders there. But Mr. Cummings was one of there are several aspirants, and Mr. Cummings was one of them. And he was the only one among the aspiring candidates there that was given an opportunity to speak. And, without question, Mr. Cummings delivers when he speaks. And that's why a lot of people want him to speak more. So he focused on three major themes when, he was given the opportunity. He focused on preventing conflict, right? And he used elections as an example. That we need elections integrity as one of the key means to prevent conflict. And he's right. And even Fumoya, the former NEC commissioner, is now predicting that the elections in 2023 don't have the requisite integrity. They are not done freely, fairly, and transparently. It could be a matter of chaos. Then the other one is making peace, the actual topic of the conference, the retreat. It was a wonderful place by the lake in Italy, at a place called Cadenabia on Lake Como, so where people could really relax, think deeply about these different issues. So making peace being the key theme, Mr. Cummings really used the role of women in peacemaking, especially the Liberian example, mentioning people like Levan Bowie and many of those other women who towed the line to get us towards peace in Liberia. And we see all the time, our women are very strong. When our women put their mind to something, they can turn it around, they can make it happen. And it's a good thing that Mr. Cummings has some natural appeal to most of our Liberian women. They like him. They like him naturally. They are willing to work with him, work for him, push his campaign. So he's gaining a lot of momentum in that space. And they believe that he cares about them. They believe that he wants to make a difference for them. And that's a positive. When you come with credibility, integrity, and you don't have, some negative thoughts about people or wanting to do some other stuff beyond the pill, beyond the regular, and just use them, people can sense that. But people do see the sincerity and the integrity in Mr. Cummings, and that's why a lot of women are attracted towards his campaign, and they're doing everything they can to see how they can make him successful. The third point that he spoke about was sustaining the peace. And part of sustaining the peace, he believes, is inclusive governance, and not necessarily just government job, but getting people into the governance process where you are letting them see what's happening, where they have the qualifications and the fit, they join in, where the government is creating opportunities for people to get jobs that will be included in the economic space. where government is working hard to eliminate corruption, that people don't feel, that bounty that is for all of us is being exploited or abused by only a few, as we now see today. And a functional judiciary. With somebody like him who has just went through the judicial system and seen how flawed it can be, it was important for him to speak to that issue. And as expected, his presentation was well received, and subsequent speakers were referencing him and trying to quote him on what he said. So he basically set the tone for this kind of meeting of world leaders. And when you have a personality like Mr. Cummings who can do that for you, you feel proud as a Liberian. You feel it's wonderful that you got somebody. I used to have this joke back in the day. When you carry somebody somewhere new, so now you're scared to leave by them because they could embarrass you based on who they talk to. But Mr. Cummings is somebody who you can carry anywhere. People think Mr. Cummings shy, Mr. Cummings. No, Mr. Cummings can engage. I can carry Mr. Cummings to the West Banana place. He'll be engaged in Cuba. He'll be able to drive in. He can do it easily. He can to the marketplace. He can engage the market women. I'm buying natural for him. You get into the highest level to the boardroom, he's comfortable there. You get into the level of governance with world leaders, he can make it near too, like he just did. So we have a versatile person here with tremendous ability, tremendous experience, tremendous network that can really make that change. But our people have to wake up to the reality of that this is possible, that this guy can do it. So it's just about the choice now. It's just about more people registering, especially our first-time voters. For many of you out there who know these young people who are coming to their own 18, 19, 20 and never registered before, or even if they registered before and never voted, this is the time that they have to be a part of the decision-making of leadership for the country. They got to identify a client whose message resonates with them, who will do for them what they want, who can at least make them to get to that point where they are competitive with their peers around the world, where they have some opportunities open to them. Unfortunately, it's not happening in this government, and that needs to change. So let me look at one or two comments I didn't see, and then we can try to start to wrap things up. But it's just wonderful for you to have a leader who you not scared to put in front of people, not scared to speak on the issues and represent you, not scared to have an interview at any time with anybody. You're not worried about what they will say, what they will not say, how they will sleep, how they will not sleep. So we're just excited about the kind of leader we have and the potential future. It's just the future that people want. What is this future we want for Liberia? Is there hope? Yes, I believe there is hope. I really believe Liberia can turn around. I believe the potential is there. And, one of the reasons why my belief is firm, I know a significant number of Liberian professionals who are at the top of whatever sector they are involved in, who can make a difference. They don't have to physically be on the ground. They don't have to be there 24/7. But if there's an opportunity to integrate how we do work, how we collaborate on platforms where it's easy for virtual collaboration, the level of expertise we have that's willing to help, we can move our country faster. We can move forward with technology. We can move forward with road development. We can move forward with improve hospital facilities, plus professionals. There are so many professionals in Liberia here who are being rejected by some of the peers on the ground for whatever reason. We have doctors, Liberian doctors. We have retired white and Black American doctors here who are willing to come to Liberia. Just find a place for them. They will even pay their own way. They will come. But you need a system. You need a healthcare medical record system that when one doctor leaves here today and goes, and another one arrives. There's no drop off. He is able to look at records, he is able to look at information and continue that caregiving, that treatment, or whatever it takes to get to that particular patient. And we don't, unfortunately, we don't have that. Okay. And those are some of the things that with Mr. Cummings' focus on infrastructure, which includes, electricity, includes roads, it includes sanitation, water, etc., and definitely technology. And we can get those 4 things start on the rise up. We can make significant difference for our people. Real difference. So let me see what Moisey say again. Sir, this is an impetus for Africa to grow their own food. You cannot rely on Europe or any sphere of the world to be dependent if there is a crisis. What occurs, sir, if there is a wider war, where Africans just keep praying when we have the resources to grow our own food and be a bread basket for the world? We need to change our thinking. Zimbabwe was the bread basket of Southern Africa. Liberia could potentially be the bread basket of the Mano River Union. No question about it. He's right. Moise is right. Okay, we have the potential to be the bread basket from North Africa all the way down to any part of Sub-Saharan Africa, because we got 5 million and change. We got 43,000 square miles. We got significant rainforest. We got decent weather. We got the sun. We can utilize solar. We can decentralize our agriculture program if we look at it in a very holistic fashion. Which area can grow what? Who's farming what? How can we empower those farmers with some level of mechanization? Yes, we want job creation. We want more people to work. Okay. How can we incentivize those people who are just crowding the cities doing nothing? I think I should show you this video. Seriously. I mean, I went there to the Batati area, and the conditions our people are living in, horrible, very horrible. But so many other people could be in a situation where they have decent schools in an area where agriculture is the bedrock of the economy of that area. But there's a guarantee. If it's not government buying, is a public-private entity like an LPMC-like entity that is buying for these people. There is value addition activities going on in the country. We're not just exporting food raw. We are capable of doing that. There is money out there for that. Today, there's $5 billion that the G7 is putting out there for food security, because they know they can't grow food in their countries, most of them. No, they need to come to Africa or other places to grow this food. And we are able to do it. But are we being aggressive in our outreach? Are we clear on the kind of programs from a national agriculture program perspective? At this point, I don't know if we are. Who is talking? Who is speaking? Who is out here saying for this government, this is our plan? In 6 months, we'll be producing another, 30,000, 40,000 metric tons of rice. We'll be able to have vegetables in this country, and you'll be able to name the specific vegetable, the quantities that will be produced. These things are all quantifiable. We can do it, but we just have to wake up. We really have to wake up as a people. So on that note, I get excited when I talk about agriculture, because it is the way forward. It is how we can do this. It is how we can make a difference. So hopefully, like I say, I just want the best for Liberia. It doesn't even have to be, Mr. Cummings himself says it. If this government are doing well, as popular as we are is, he will not be wasting his time around. But the government has screwed up. They have messed up. And they have shown no indication that it can move us to the next level, right? There's no next level thinking involved. So what can we do? We just have to keep pushing. We have to keep trying to awaken our people, awaken their consciousness, or make sure they are aware of what's going on as much as we can. So that's why people who listen, people who are, aware of these things, we want all of you to be involved and to see how you can help things. So thank you for listening. We'll see you next Friday. And we are working to try to get on the radio in Liberia so we can be able to share with our people. So hopefully that relationship will be consummated soon, and we'll be able to hear us in Liberia. So we thank you. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. And I'll see you on Wednesday. Peace.